So, like a lot of people, I've come to form a big attachment to the cast of the Amazing Digital Circus. I really do truly want the best for them. However, I really don't think that they're going to be able to escape the circus, and that's because I think they're clones. Not that I think that somebody put them in a lab and cloned them, I think that when they put on the headset, their consciousnesses are copied into the computer and as a separate being from their physical body. And my proof for this comes down to two big items. A, being unable to remove their headsets, and B, the fact that Pomni is still alive. Let's address fact number one. None of them are able to remove their headsets. We saw what that headset looked like. It wasn't a big apparatus that restrains your body or impedes your movement in any way. It's basically like a headband strap you would put around your eyes with a display in front of it. Like any on-the-market VR headset you could get right now at your local GameStop. So why can't you take it off if you're still connected to your physical body? Well, the first argument for that would be, well, maybe putting on the headset, maybe your body just kind of slumps over in like a heap. Okay, maybe. But then we get to point number two. Why are they still alive? The human body can survive for longer than you'd think without food, about a month to 2 months, depending on your individual circumstances. But without water, you die within a week. So let's be generous and say that each episode of The Amazing Digital Circus is about 24 hours or 1 day. So that's 7 episodes, 7 days. And Pomni is the newest member, and that's how long she's been in the circus. What about them? What about the other members of the cast who have been there for much longer, implied to be there for years? You might say, well, people at CNA are maintaining their bodies, taking care of their bodies. Maybe they're somewhere in a dark basement where CNA is still operating as this underground shady. But what about Pomni? As far as we know, she is in an abandoned building, slumped over, and unable to care for herself. Unless what actually happened was that Pomni, real-life world Pomni, put on the headset, nothing happened, and she took it off and left. And this clone of her consciousness was then ported into the game. I think this has to be the most likely explanation for a couple reasons. But the biggest and most compelling one I want to address is Ragatha. And what about Ragatha? Well, she has to have been in the digital circus since at least, let's say 2009, because she didn't understand the reference that Jax made to Breaking Bad, which became incredibly popular basically upon release.
What's your story then?
I thought you'd never ask. Well, after my lung cancer diagnosis, me and my junkie associate from a chemistry class I used to teach
Yeah, I
started...
figured. How about you, Gangle?
Hey, I wasn't done.
If you're gonna make shit up, at least be creative about it. I know what you're referencing.
Was that a reference to something?
And she didn't know what Jax was talking about. So she's probably been in there since 2008, 2009 at least. And what do we know about Ragatha? She was a real estate agent from a wealthy family.
I guess I'll go now. Oh, geez, where to start? I was born into a fairly wealthy family. We had a large property with horses and chickens, and my mother, my mother was a lot. I worked in real estate for a bit until I ended up here.
She was a wealthy woman. Not to get dark here, but if you're gonna kidnap someone and keep them in a basement where they're hooked up to a machine and they can't leave, you're gonna want to pick people who aren't gonna be missed. Like people from poorer backgrounds, people with drug addictions, people who the police don't actively search for when they go missing. A wealthy real estate agent from a wealthy family? She's going to be number one on the priority list of people to look for if she went missing, which is why I don't think she's actually missing. I think that real world Ragatha might have put the headset on at some point at an expo, and her consciousness was copied, and then real world Ragatha just went on her way, unaware of what she just doomed a part of herself to live through. I also want to bring up the fact that in the first episode, there's a lot of emphasis on Pomni and Pomni's body, but not in a weird way, in like a way where she is physically, when she goes to take off her headset, she is physically reaching into her eye socket, pulling her eye out, pulling on her lower eyelid. The show emphasizes the fact that although she can move her limbs, she cannot touch the physical body that she has. If you've never used VR before, basically, in order to move your limbs, your virtual limbs, you would have to be holding like some sort of like a Wii remote type thing, where your virtual limb would move in accordance with your physical limb. But if she's wearing a headset, and if her limbs are copying her movements in the real world, she wouldn't be able to touch her eyeball because she's wearing a VR headset. So the show, the first scene we see of Pomni, the show emphasizes the fact that she can touch her eyeball. It lingers on it for quite a few seconds, that she's touching her eyeball, her eyelid, her face. She can reach past the point of where her VR headset would stop her. This version of Pomni can do things that her physical body shouldn't be able to do if it's just VR technology. I think at this point we all know it's not just VR technology, but I think the debate is, can they return to their body or not? Maybe they're just controlling these avatars with their minds, and their bodies don't need to be moving in order to get these movements out of their avatars. I think the show has a moment in the first episode, a lot of this is from the first episode, where it shows us Pomni realizing, although she doesn't want to admit it to herself, that this is her new body. And it's the scene where she looks into a mirror for the first time and sees her body and touches her face. On screen right now, I'm going to show a screen cap of the article, "First Recognition of Self in the Mirror is Spurred by Touch," from the College of Natural Sciences at the University of Texas. Now, obviously, Pomni is an adult. She says herself she's 25 years old, and this article is more about how children first recognize themselves. But I still think it's fitting, because who is Pomni in this new digital world? She was essentially just born. This is her first foray into the world of the digital, and she's exploring her own body for the first time and recognizing her new body for the first time through the experience of what? Touching her face in the mirror. I thought that was especially interesting, given that this article, I didn't go looking for it. I stumbled across it and it reminded me of that scene. And the last thing I'll mention is that Gooseworks took a lot of inspiration from the short story I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which, if you've ever read it, trigger warning for everything, don't read it. But there really was only escape for those who died. There were, I believe, 4 or 5 captives. All of them except one died, and that was how they escaped the hell that they had been forced into against their will. And the only 2 that remain within the hell world of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream are the computer, the AI, and the one who helped the others to die, to escape. I think it's going to end up being Pomni and Kane trapped there together, or one person there, stuck there with Kane, unable to leave. Or maybe it could be the opposite. Maybe they need to select one person to escape while the others have to remain with Kane, as sort of an inverse. But I think it's not going to be a fun, happy ending. I really doubt. I think it's more likely, way more likely, that the only escape from this circus is going to be the shutdown of their cloned personalities, whether you want to call that death or something else. But yeah, this is incredibly rushed. I'm literally recording it 3 hours before episode 8 comes out. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you very much for listening to me ramble. I hope to make more videos like this that are a lot more polished. But thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy episode 8.